Yo, what's going on, everybody? In today's video, I'm going to be doing a positional tier list video. Game's been out over a little bit over a month, so let's go over the best cards at each position and talk about them a little bit, all right? So before we get into it, though, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn those notifications on. Leave a like on the video, and in the comment section below, let me know if you agree with my tier list or what do you think I missed on it or whatnot, whatever. Just let me know in the comment section your opinions on the tier list, all right? Let's go ahead and take a look at the tier list. Before we take a look at the tier list, remember I offer flipping lessons if you want to learn how to make stubs like I do. I have over 3 million stubs with the collections done, and also every legend and flashback collection card that I need ready for Friday. So I'm still gonna have plenty of stubs after that legend and flashback collection drops. If you want to learn how to make stubs like I do, make sure you hit me up on Twitter at pitching_rebel, or through email if you don't have Twitter, pitchingrebel1@gmail.com, in order to learn how to make stubs like I do. All right, let's go ahead and get into talking about the positional tier list. If you guys watched the last video, you know that I have partnered with Shaolin Trading. Shaolin's one-on-one program taught me how to trade stocks for myself. And because of that program, I've been able to become successful trading. And that is a huge reason why I get to do what I love to do, which is pump out videos for you all. So if you're searching for a skill that not only generates income, but also offers a more flexible lifestyle, then do yourself a favor and check out the link in the description below. Make sure you use code REBEL for a discount. And if you have any questions, make sure you message me on Twitter/X, or you can also reach out to me through email, pitchingrebel1@gmail.com, if you have any further questions. All right, let's go ahead and grow Shaolin together. Before we take a look at the tier list, remember I offer flipping lessons if you want to learn how to make stubs like I do. I have over 3 million stubs with the collections done, and also every legend and flashback collection card that I need ready for Friday. So I'm still gonna have plenty of stubs after that legend flashback collection drops. If you want to learn how to make stubs like I do, make sure you hit me up on Twitter at pitching_rebel, or through email if you don't have Twitter, pitchingrebel1@gmail.com, in order to learn how to make stubs like I do. All right, let's go ahead and get into talking about the positional tier list. All right, so first up is gonna be the catcher. So we're gonna roll from catcher, first base, second base, shortstop, third base, left field, center field, right field, and then the starting pitchers and relievers to round it out. So first, we'll start off with the catchers. At the S tier, I have Tedrick Simmons. I think he is the best catcher, although his swing, is kind of iffy. I think he's still the best catcher. Attribute-wise, hitting, with his hitting, he hits well versus both, has really good clutch, and he's a switch hitter. So you don't have to worry about that PCI shrinkage. Then in the A tier, I'm going to have Napoli, Veritek, and Wilson Contreras. Napoli, as long as you're not playing on GOAT, he is very, very usable, has a good swing and tons of pop. Great contact versus both. His only problem is his clutch. Jason Veritek, another switch hitting catcher, but does have lesser attributes hitting wise. Has a great swing, a lot better swing than Tedrick. The problem is his clutch is under 70, just not usable on those higher levels, in my opinion. But again, he does have a very good swing, I will say that. And you got Wilson Contreras. When he plays up, he's very good. Got very good contact, good clutch, right-handed hitter. Not a bad option at all. Then in the B tier, I'm going to have Josh Gibson, Will Smith, Carson Kelly, Ivan Herrera, Joe Torre, and Adley Rutschman. C tier, we're going to have Ohapi, Shea Langoliers, Samuel Basayo, Austin Wells, Gary Sanchez, Dalton Rushing. And then in the D tier, I have Pudge, Johnny Bench, Kyle Teal, and Craig Biggio. So Gibson, man, he's very disappointing. Wish he had better hitting attributes. He could have easily been in the A tier. I mean, there's not that many good catchers, and the fact that they did that to Josh Gibson, hitting attributes just didn't make him, A tier worthy. Now Torrey, you can make the argument because he does have pretty good hitting numbers, but lower swing, low power, just doesn't do it for me for the A tier. But that's going to be the catchers. Now we're going to move on to the first baseman. All right, so next we got the first baseman. Obviously above and beyond everybody else is Gilliam, Hodges, Podges. I mean, there's no debating that. Great swing, great hitting attributes, 99 overall. Can't beat it. We got the A team. By the way, this is just strictly like their primary position. I know there's guys that's going to play secondary, like Soderstrom could play catcher. He'd be pretty high as a tier as a catcher, but I'm going strictly by position because This year, there's a lot less secondary positions, so I'd rather just go position by position. But Soderstrom, Tony Clark, Big Poppy, and Lance Berkman are in my A tier. Then in the B tier, I got Rod Carew, Mark McGuire, Bryce Harper, Buck O'Neil, Paul Goldschmidt, Richie Sexton, Hank Greenberg, Vladdy Jr. You might be surprised about the Hank Greenberg, but if you look at his hitting attributes, it's actually a pretty good card, especially for how cheap it is. He's a budget beast, in my opinion. Rod Carew, if he had more power, he'd definitely go into the A tier because he has great contact and clutch. Just that power is so low for a first baseman. Big Mac, good power. Contact and clutch isn't the greatest, but they did kind of fix his swing, so that's why I put him into the B tier. And the C tier, we're going to have Rizzo, Christian Walker, Pasquantino, Ryan Howard, and Jake Berger. And then the D tier is just David Justice. You know, Pasquantino does have that maxed out clutch, but the rest of his hitting isn't very good for a first baseman. So I feel very confident in these cards being in the tiers that they're at. And I didn't have anybody else in the S tier because I feel like Gil Hodges is just so far beyond everybody else that it's not close. All right, next up is going to be the second baseman. My two best second basemen the two best second basemen that I think are currently out are going to be Ketel Marte and Jorge Polanco. Then you're going to have Ozzie Albies in the A tier. He's probably borderline S tier as well. 71 contact. I mean, technically, Ketel has the same amount, like pretty much the same amount of contact as that Ozzie Albies that just came out. Ketel does have that really damn good swing. I mean, you could throw in Ozzie Albies in the S tier for second baseman. He's like definitely high A tier, borderline S tier for me. Kipnis, and then Chase Utley, Whit Merrifield, and Christian Campbell are my A tiers. B tier, we got Tommy Edman. If he had more contact and power versus righties, he'd definitely be A tier, and shoot, even probably S tier to be honest. But low contact and power versus righties just doesn't do it for me. Even if he had higher contact, the power is whatever. Just give me higher contact, but you know, 71 is just not good. Bazana, that Meredith card, Chase Meredith, I think that's his last name, and then Gleyber Torres in my B tier as well. Then we got Jazz Max Muncy from the A's, of course. Tony Stone, Bobby Grich as C tier, and then D tier just Bryce Stott and Joe Morgan. But like I said, definitely Jorge Polanco and Ketel are the best, and I think Ozzie Albies has an argument of being there. Chase Utley has really good attributes. The only thing about Chase Utley and at second base is the problem with Chase Utley is that, you know, lefty on lefty on go. I'm ranking this based on who I would want to use on go and who I wouldn't want to use. The problem with Chase Utley is he's a left-handed hitter and his attributes aren't that great against lefties that on go you're just like, okay, I can deal with it. Next, we got the shortstops, and then I believe the two S-tier shortstops are Corey Seager and Mookie Betts. You know Jimmy Rollins, I rock with him as my starting shortstop. His hitting attributes aren't the greatest, but his swing is really good, so that's why he's not in the S-tier because his hitting attributes aren't like insane. But he's definitely A-tier for sure. Then you got Correa, Bobby Witt, Francisco Lindor, Leo Dalis, DeVries, and I haven't seen many people use this card, but that Michael Young card has really good hitting attribute. Problem is he has terrible defense, so I'll keep him in the A tier, but he probably should be B tier because of how bad his defense is. But his hitting is really good. B tier, you got Ozzie Smith, Ellie De La Cruz, Dansby Swanson, Jackie Robinson, Jacob Wilson, Marcelo Meyer, and JJ Weatherholt. C tier, Willie Adames, Anthony Volpe, Carson Williams, and Gage Workman. And then D tier is Robin Yount. He's just not good at all. But that's my tier list. If you agree or disagree, again, let me know in the comment section. All right, next up is third baseman. Surprisingly, there's not a lot of like third baseman that I would go with as primary position. Remember, again, of course, there's guys that could play different positions, third base and whatnot, but I'm going strictly primary position. And S tier, I would have to go with Chase Headley, Jose Ramirez, and Rafael Devers. And then the A tier, sadly, Chipper Jones. We know why. If you don't know why, just look at his hitting attributes versus righties and his clutch. He should definitely be S tier. Chipper Jones should probably be the best third baseman in the game right now, but of course, that hitting is just. And then you got Ryan McMahon. You can make an argument that he can be bumped into that S tier. Terry Pendleton, really love that card. Great swing. Just doesn't have crazy pop against lefties, but great swing, good hitting attributes all the way around. Besides the power versus lefties, even against righties has decent power. Wade Boggs, really good contact, really good clutch, just a little bit low power, so that's what makes him A tier, not S tier. And then B tier, you got Bregman, Westberg, and Beltre. I mean, there's no really reason to put C and D. Those guys are just, you know, below these other 7 guys that we talked about in the first S and A tier. So now we're moving on to the left fielders. Again, we're going based off primary positions, not that they could play the whole entire outfield if they could, or other secondary, just straight primary positions. So S tier for left fielders, I'm going to have Santander, Jordan Alvarez, and JD Martinez. And then in the A tier, I'm going to have Timmy Raines, Raul Ibanez, Manny Ramirez, and Taylor Ward. Timmy Raines, if he had a little bit more juice, he could definitely be put into that S tier. He has a great swing, good contact numbers, good clutch, and then high speed, good defense. You know, he just doesn't have that pop that you would want as an S tier guy. Ibanez is insane versus righties. Problem is he isn't very good against lefties, so that's why I didn't give him the S tier. And then Manny, he's good, but not like above and beyond these other guys that I put up there. And Taylor Ward, he could probably crack the S tier if you really wanted to. He has really good hitting numbers. Not far off from JD, but we'll just leave him in the A tier. But you could definitely make the argument of set S tier for him. B tier, you got Profar, Riley Green, Jason Bay, and Ricky Henderson. And then the C tier is going to be Don Baylor. Baylor's swing is awful, and his hitting attributes aren't very good. Center fielders, we know Beltran is S tier, nobody even close to him, so we're not putting anybody else there. A tier, Reynolds and Griffey, those are my only other 2 A tier guys. Could you make the argument for Grisham? I guess, but we'll leave him in the B tier. Then we got Stan Musial, Mickey Mantle, and Roman Anthony. Mickey Mantle just doesn't have that kind of hitting for me. Yes, he's a switch hitter, but that hitting that I would want to see to put him in the A tier, just not there. And we got Pete Crow, Bellinger, Steve Finley, Walker Jenkins, Max Clark, and Curtis Granderson in the C. And then in the D tier with awful hitting attributes versus lefties is Duke Snyder, not even usable against lefties. So that is the tier list for center fielders. Then we're going to move on to now right fielders. And in the S tier for right fielders, I'm going to go with Judge, Soto, and Trout. And then in the A tier, we got Paul O'Neill, who you can make maybe an argument for A tier, but he's for S tier, but he's definitely A tier for sure. Then you got Tatis, Kyle Tucker, McCutchen, and Babe Ruth. Those other guys, you know, good swings, good hitting attributes, just below the S tier guys. B tier, we got Acuna, Bautista, Hank Aaron, Jake Magnum, and Jorge Soler. That Jake Magnum card is a switch hitter with good, decent contact numbers, you know, above 90 and above 90 clutch. Only issue is that his power isn't very good, but he does have a good swing, and he is a switch hitter. So could you, and good fielding and speed, could you put him in the A tier? Yeah, but that power being a little bit too low puts him in the B tier for me. C tier, we got Rap Dixon and Dylan Cruz, and then rounding it out in the D tier is Mike Yastrzemski. All right. Now we got starting pitchers. This is second to last one for the positional tier list. S tier, above and beyond, not even close, right? Roger Clemens. Then the A tier, you got quite a bit of pitchers that you could use in your rotation. These are guys, the A tier, I'm putting just guys that I would definitely don't mind seeing in my rotation. You got Valenzuela, Jordan Zimmerman, Randy Johnson, Shohei, DeGrom, John Don, Satchel Paige, Corey Kluber, Burns, and yes, surprisingly, Don Sutton. I feel like on GOAT, he could be very good. He's a sinker four seam, slider, knuckle curve, and then that screwball that is just very tough to hit on GOAT. So I definitely would put him in the rotation. On GOAT, there's obviously options, so he could definitely, you know, crack a rotation for sure. That's why I have him in the A tier. In the B tier, we have Edward Cabrera, Martin Dihigo, Bob Gibson, Hunter Green. Hunter Green's definitely borderline A tier because he has that outlier fastball with the slurve slider splitter combo and can be very, very good on GOAT. But that control, I don't know. That's what puts me down there for him. Logan Webb, Gaylor Perry, Max Scherzer, Walker Buehler, Noah Schultz, Garrett Crochet, Jake Arrieta, Rube Foster, and then Andy Cooper. You can make an argument for Rube and Andy Cooper if we're just talking about GOAT because they both have screwballs. And then they have like, you know, four seam sinkers, sliders, slurves, you know, change up, forkball for Rube Foster. So on GOAT, they could be some hell for sure, but we're just going overall, probably like, you know, for every single division that you play. I don't think they would be very good, like lower than GOAT, but on GOAT, they could definitely do some damage with that screwball. That screwball, again, is one of the toughest pitches to hit on GOAT. In the C tier, you got Chris Bubic, you got Andy Pettit, Nick Pivetta, Carlton Roki, Mike Mussina, Tariq Schoolball, Chris Sale, and Zach Wheeler. They're not, you know, terrible options by any means, but they just aren't, you know, the cream of the crop. Simple as that. And then last but not least, relievers. S tier for me is Darren O'Day. He's just above and beyond. Everybody's just so tough to hit with, you know, tough to pick up, and then has great control. Pars are like literally the size of the ball. And again, him being so tough to pick up and making the PCI so small makes him the S tier. You could argue that Mason Miller and Devin Williams also can go up there, especially on GOAT. I would definitely argue that they're S tier, but they are definitely A tier for sure. Then Chapman, that card that you see right there that has no picture, I don't know why it didn't pop out, but that's Michael Kopech. Raleigh Fingers, Lucas Urseg, Gregory Soto, Hobie Milner, Matt Strom, Jason Adam. Yes, Jason Adam is actually a pretty damn good pitcher. His primary changeup is disgusting, and he has good per nines and good clutch. Trevor Hoffman, Rob Dibble, Goose Gossage, Andrew Miller, Justin Martinez, John Franco, and Danley Kalum. All those pitchers in the A tier and S tier. Any mix and match of that, I definitely am not opposed to having those guys in the pen. Any mix and match, if I see those guys, I'm like, okay, yeah, those are all good pitchers. So there's nothing wrong with having any of those guys in your pen. The one that, if you have Darren O'Day, Mason Miller, and Devin Williams, I think those three guys definitely should be in your pen. But from there, you could kind of pick and choose from that A tier, in my opinion. B tier, we got Robertson, Tanner Scott, Griffin Jacks, Tyler Holden, Bruce Suter, Blake Triton, Yimi Garcia, Emmanuel Clase, Felix Bautista, and Mark Davis. And then in the C tier, you got Kenley Harrington from Pittsburgh, Liam Hendricks, and that Billy Wagner contributor card. So yeah, a couple guys in the B tier, maybe like Clase and Felix Bautista, that could be A tier. You know, if you're thinking about GOAT, even like Trinan as well. But for sure, those guys are B tier. But the A tier guys are A tier, and the S tier are the guys that I would definitely expect to see most of in people's pens. Anyways, that is my positional tier list currently for the cards that are out. There's not very many options, as you see. Some, you know, the pitchers do have a lot of options, but besides that, position players, it's really still early in the year. Power creeps here. You know, you don't have many options in my opinion, but as the year goes on, we'll continue doing this positional tier list, just update it when new cards come out and whatnot. And we'll figure out who are the best cards currently in the game. So anyways, again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe, but if you haven't already, turn those notifications on, leave a like on the video, and in the comment section below, make sure that you let me know what you thought about the positional tier list, and if you agree, disagree, or if I missed out on something. All right, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Love y'all. Peace.